Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Now, students, today lecture is the transformation. First, we find to learn the transformation of two random variables. Here, we discuss the how to convert into variable x and convert into other variable y. You can see that the question is let x1 and x2 be two random variable. Here is the problem is two random variable having PDF of x1 x2 and the function is exponent of minus x2 and this is limit is 0 less than x1 less than x2 less than infinity. Find the PDF of y1 is equal to x1 plus x2 and y2 is equal to x2. Here is the problem is I want to convert into the function is original function is in x1 and x2 and I want to convert in the function y1 and y2. First step of this question transformation how to convert x2 into y. Now the two variables y1 is equal to x1 plus x2 and y2 x1 x1. Now first we find the values of x1 and x2. Here we you can see that x2 is equal to y1 minus x1 and x2 is the y1 minus x1 is the value have given x1 is the value of x2. Now the x2 is the y1 minus y2 and x1 is to y2. Now I have find the values of x1 and x2. Now the second step of this question the partial derivatives of first the partial derivative of x1 with respect to y1 is 0 and partial derivative of x1 with respect to y2 is 1 and partial derivative of x2 partial derivative with respect to y1 here is the 1 and partial derivative of x2 with respect to y2 y1 derivative of partial derivative 0 and minus 1 y2 is the 1 and minus 1. Here we the question of this transformation I will use the Jacobian technique. The Jacobian technique and the Jacobian is equal to determinant of partial derivative of x1 or partial derivative of y1 partial derivative of x2 partial derivative of y1 partial derivative of x1 and partial derivative of y2 and partial derivative of x2 and partial derivative of y2. Now the r values are put in this Jacobian. First value is 0 and other value is 1 and 1 and minus 1. Here we see that the term limit of this x1 and x2 0 to infinity and I have put the values this values x1 and x2 put here is the limit and now that put the values in the limit y2 less than y1 minus y2 then infinity and minus 2 go to here and 2y2 less than y1 less than infinity. If we want to know for the limit of y1 and y2 and y2 and divided by y2 y1 over y2 infinity over 2 is equal to infinity 0 over 2 is 0. Now the limit of y2 is 0 to y1 over 2 and limit of y1 is 2y2 to infinity. The values of Jacobian is how find the determinant 0 and minus 1 and here we use the determinant of Jacobian. Determinant of Jacobian is minus 1 and is 1 f the original function of this. I have put the values of all the x1 x2 in here. Now I have put the value x2. What is the value of x2? X2 value is the y1 minus y2 and this is the Jacobian and this is the Jacobian and Jacobian is here 1 and multiply by this now the function of y1 and y2 is the minus y1 and minus y2. Now I want to find the marginal of y1 and marginal of y2. First we find the marginal of y1. Marginal of f of y1 is the limit we use. Now I want to the function is y1 then we integrate with respect to y2. Now what is the limit of y2? Here we have find the y2 limit is 0 to y1 over y2. Here we use the limit of 0 to y 1 over 2, and that this function is put here and integrated with respect to y2, because I want to integrate with respect to y2, then we get the function of with respect the function of y1, and minus multiply inside e raised power minus 1, and is the outside, and the integration of y2, and e raised power y2, and the limit is 0 to y1 over 2. Now the integration of this function is y2 over 1, and limit is 0 y1 or y2. Now put the values of here minus y1 over y2 and minus, then we put the 0, e raised power 0 is 1. Now the marginal of y1 is this function. Next I want to find the marginal of y2. When we find the marginal of y2, then I want to use the limit of y1, integrate with respect to y1. Now what is the limit of y1? Now the limit of y1 is 2y2 to infinity. Here we use the 2y2 to infinity and this function of y1 and y2 and integration of with respect to y1. Now e raised power y2 is constant, and then integration of e raised power minus 1 y1 and y1, and now the integrate when we integrate this, and e raised power minus 1, and this is minus 1, limit is to y2 to infinity. When we put the limit of infinity, then we get 0 minus and 2y2 and minus 2y2, and this now the function is e power minus y2, because 1 minus 2 is we get minus 1. Now this is the function of f of y2. Now this is the marginal of y2. Now students, now I have discussed this this one question of transformation of two random variables. This is the very easy. I want to convert into x to y1. Thank you.